What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode in our new series called Stanley Cup Playoffs Cup or Bust. We've covered the Dallas Stars, we've covered the Toronto Maple Leafs, and now we're covering the Colorado Avalanche. So, why are we saying Cup or Bust for the Colorado Avalanche? Well, there's many things. There's a lot of expiring contracts on this team, but it's not just anybody's contract that's being expired, namely a guy who's been their best player this season, the MVP of the Colorado Avalanche, Nazem Kadri. And can they retain? I mean, can they re-sign him and afford him? Because I don't think so whatsoever. Because I think he's going to want a huge pay raise. And the Colorado Avalanche since 2018 haven't been able to pass the second round with the core of four that they've had. MacKinnon, Landeskog, Taves, and Rantanen, right? So now you have Makar in the mix. You have Kadri who's stepping it up. You have Devon Taves. You have Burakovsky. And now you have Sam Gerard as well. You have Nishkin. Oh my God, I can't even pronounce his name.
Natushkin.
Nishkin. Oh my God, thanks. And you have the newly acquired Arturi Lekkinen as well. And this has been a team that's on paper regarded as the best team in the league. And I think they have the highest chance to win the Stanley Cup. But then again, the playoffs, it's a different beast. It's a whole complete a different situation, and we never know. So we're gonna be talking about our thoughts concerning the Colorado Avalanche and their chances of winning the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah, and I think to be honest with Colorado, now's your chance. We've been talking about this for the last, I would say, what, 3 years now, that the Avalanche are basically this is their moment. And I know that they're a relatively young team. They still got Makar, they still got MacKinnon, who's in his prime. Landeskog, Rantanen, but at some point they kind of they're not in the same conversation as the Leafs in the sense that they've won playoff series. But in the sense that, if they don't get over the hump, at what point do you start looking at your core and maybe changing that around? Because at the end of the day, Colorado's a team that's built to win a cup, and they haven't been able to get past to get to that next step. So I think it's something that is going to be very interesting going into the playoffs this year for sure.
And
But I think
this
for them, they've got a lot of injuries right now. If they can get guys back before the playoffs start, that's going to be huge for them as well.
And
So
this trade deadline's been a fantastic deadline for them. They part ways with prospect Barron, but they acquire Terry Lekkinen. They get rid of Tyson Jost as well. They get Nico Stern. They add also Josh Manson on defense. So you add two guys that are going to help your bottom six in the playoffs, and you know how important the bottom six is during the playoffs. Those are the guys that tend to step up the most defensively and offensively. And also adding a guy like Josh Manson, who's a physical presence, crunchy guys in the boards and stuff, you know, that's, I would say, the complete opposite compared to having a guy like Devon Taves, Cale Makar, and Samuel Girard. Those guys are more offensive weapons. Josh Manson's more of a defensive guy, and he could contribute offensively. But I mean, this is the deadline where I feel that they've added the most serious pieces in terms of, I like this is our year. We need to win it this year. And you look at the team that they've had. They even added Andrew Colliano as well, who didn't cost that much, which is a veteran, presence in the lineup. So I'm looking at this team, and from the first line up until the fourth line, and even their three defensive pairs, um, I think they have the most depth. The only problem for me is their goaltending. They have Frank Kutz and Cooper, but the thing is that can they be consistent enough during the playoffs to help the Colorado get to the finals? Because you need solid goaltending, and Kemper and Frank Kutz. I mean, Frank Kutz has been playing pretty well this season ever since he came back from his injury. He didn't play all of last season, if I'm mistaken, and he missed a good part of this season as well. Kemper, a guy who came from Arizona, was very underrated, just had injury problems there, played on a very poor team. Goes to Colorado, being Grubauer's replacement. There was high expectations. People even said that he was going to be a Vezina candidate this year. Unfortunately, that was not the case. He didn't have the start to the season that he wanted. Yeah, he's been picking it up recently during the second half of the 2022 season, but I still feel that that's kind of a question mark in terms of can they be consistent in terms of goaltending heading into the playoffs this year.
Well, I want to talk a bit about like what's going like if they don't win or if they do win, what's going to happen next season. Listen, I think this team's going to go far. I mean, once Nazem Kadri comes back, and he's going to be ready for the playoffs, I think they're one of the favorites to win the Stanley Cup. If I see them either going to the Stanley Cup Finals or at least the conference finals, I don't see them like getting knocked out in the first round or anything. Uh, thing is though is that let's say they don't win, or let's say they do, okay? And next season, everybody's like, oh, this is their last chance to win a Stanley Cup. I mean, I completely disagree with that. I think that Nazem Kadri leaves. I think that's 100% certain because they don't have the cap space to sign the amount that he's gonna be getting for the way he's been playing this season. I think Alex Newhook is good enough to play second line center for this team. Him and MacKinnon being a 1-2 punch. I think that's great, actually. Burakovsky would be a guy that they would have to resign. Lehkonen as well. The only thing I disagree with that they've done is getting rid of Jost. I think Jost was a player that they should have kept, and I know a lot of people are saying, he wasn't fitting right, and we gave him chances, so it was time to switch. But I think they gave up on him too early. I mean, he plays every single position. Well, center, left wing, and right wing. So, and he's 24, and he still had term. So, I disagree with that transaction, but you know,
Yeah, and Nico Sturm adds more stability on the fourth line. He is a little bit older. He's 26,
well,
but
older and an expiring contract. There's
yeah,
no guarantee he's
yeah.
gonna
But
sign.
also they wanted to save some money as well. So that's why they acquired Nico Sturm, to make room for guys like Manson and Lehkonen and Colliano as well. Just save some money, not too much money. I think it was about like half a million, or no, it was like
Two,
half of
two,
2 million.
2.2 million.
Yeah,
I'm pretty
something
sure.
like that. Um, but like I'm gonna name you a couple players, and you tell me if this is not a Stanley Cup caliber team. You have Rantanen, Makar, MacKinnon, Landeskog, Taves, Burakovsky, Nichushkin, Lehkonen, Gerard, Newhook, Kempfer, Eric Johnson, Logan O'Connor, Nico Sturm. Like Bowen Byram as well, Josh Manson, Jack Johnson. Ryan Murray. Like that. Like holy crap. Like
Yeah, it's a good team. I mean, honestly, the only if I mean they're good. They're all around. They're good. If I had to pick one thing that I wasn't happy with, probably goaltending. But I think it's good. It's not the best, but
But that's the problem. When you have a team like that, you can't spend too much money on goaltending in order to keep that that essential firepower on defense
well,
and
let's be
offense.
honest. Darcy Kemper at the beginning of the season, we thought he was going to be a Vesna candidate.
Yeah, and he was a complete letdown until the second half of the
You know,
season where he kind of stepped up, and
so
maybe because he was playing way too many games and he needed like Frank Hoots back because he wasn't there, and they had some like younger goalie. I forgot who it was. But like, look, in terms of goals, they're third in the league. Shots on goal, fourth. That just demonstrates how offensively
well, I know their
talented they
power
are.
play is like insane.
Power play is fifth.
Yeah.
Okay. See, that's the problem with them that might cost them problems in the playoffs. Their face-off percentage, 29th in the league. So clearly they have a problem down the middle, and they have, I would say, goaltending is another problem that could cost them the Stanley Cup in the playoffs. Goals allowed, though, this has improved compared to the beginning of the season. They're seventh, so that's a huge.
But
Um,
here's the thing,
and
though,
their
is that
penalty kill is
every
average. It's 17th in the
everybody
league.
everybody in the West, like who's the best team in the who has the best goaltender in the West that's going to be going into the playoffs?
See, and that's the problem. The two best teams in the West are Minnesota and Colorado. And what's the main problem that they both
Is
have?
goaltending.
It's goaltending.
So,
They don't have like that established number one goaltender. They have like Flurry, Cam Talbot,
well,
right?
actually, you know what? I think Calgary has a pretty good goalie.
Yeah, Markstrom. Yeah, that's
Mark,
but the
he's
thing is though, I still think yes, Calgary, like if I had to name my top 3 in the West, Calgary, Colorado, and Minnesota are the top 3 teams. in the West, but in terms of who can beat any team in the West, no, East,
No
sorry, in the
East.
East, um, it's the Colorado Avalanche. I think you look at the East, look how close it is. You have Florida, Tampa Bay, Toronto, the Hurricanes, the Rangers, the Penguins, the Bruins, and the Capitals. So the Capitals, Penguins, and Bruins are and the Tampa Bay Lightning are the experienced teams. They have a lot of um, veterans on that team, but they also have a good mix of young guns as well. Um, but they've been to the playoffs many times over the last 10 years. They're very consistent in terms of that. Then you have the newer players that I call them, the Florida Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs, Hurricanes, and the Rangers, who in the last couple of years they've been emerging as the teams that are going to end up being the top teams in the East for many years to come. And you look at the firepower that Florida has, Tampa has, Toronto,
I think
Hurricanes,
Florida has a better
Rangers.
team than Colorado
The thing is that
because they have goaltending. Their
yeah, but
defense, well, but then
Bobrovsky's
again,
actually the problem with him is that he's very inconsistent. He could be amazing for
and
a
I think
long stretch, and then he could choke,
I
and
think
that's the big problem with him.
there's no Aaron Ekblad. I think too going in. I
Well,
think he's done for the season,
he's
if I'm
done
not
for the
mistaken.
season, but he's going to be back for the first round. Um,
Oh, okay.
but if you look at two teams in terms of like the players they have on their roster, like if you look at them on paper, Florida and Colorado have the best teams on paper. But the thing is that Florida doesn't have that playoff experience like Colorado does, and that's why Colorado has the edge on Florida. And
Well, I
people are
mean, they have players that are experienced. I mean, look, you got Joe Thornton, you got Bobrovsky. Sorry, I like doing that. Then you
yeah,
got
you have Claude Giroux as
Claude
well.
Giroux. Yeah,
But the thing is that
Yeah.
Bill Zito is building a good team, and like we've said before, that this is a team that
my
is Stanley Cup caliber. You
my
know,
question is, do you think if Colorado doesn't win, do you think Joe Sakic is out?
I don't think Joe Sakic's out. I think it's more of a situation where it's like because you
Because
have
he's
to look
been
at
there for
it.
a long
You,
time.
you have to look. Yeah, I know he's been there for a long time, but I think with Colorado, I think they have faith in Joe Sakic, and I think they
he's
do
built a
believe
very good team there.
in him. And I don't necessarily think that he's built a bad team. I think that the problem with Colorado, I mean, I'm not, and I don't want to be that guy that blames coaching, but when you have that many good players, and you've got basically like a juggernaut, because let's face it, look at their decor, like it's absolutely insane. Look at their offense, it's absolutely insane. Like, and I know that sometimes people can make the argument of, oh, but sometimes having the best team doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win, which is true. But I think that with Colorado, like if they don't win, I think the coach likely goes. I think Jared Bednar likely goes before Sakic, in my opinion, just simply for the fact that I think he's really got no excuse. He's got no excuse not to win a cup, and it's really that simple. And I know that you know we can turn around and look at other factors, but I mean he's got the best decor in the league, in my opinion, and he's got arguably the best offensive core in the league as well that competes with Florida. So I think there's really no other excuse for Colorado than to win the cup. And I think if they don't, it's a failure for the team. But it to me, it's the coach out the door, in my opinion.
He's gonna have to find a way to be like John Cooper and foster all that talent like he did in Tampa Bay, and make sure that all those stars start clicking and start producing offensively and defensively. And that's why they won two Stanley Cups back to back years. And for Colorado to be out in the second round the last 3 years, and then in 2018 in the first round, yeah, we could give them the free pass 2018 because that was a stepping stone for them. That was the first time they made the playoffs in a while. But then in 2019, 2020, 2021, they stayed still. They were in the second round. They couldn't pass the second round. And this team is starting to remind me of the Washington Capitals before they won the Stanley Cup, where on paper they were fantastic. Season wise, they were like the best team in the league or one of the best teams in the league. But come playoff time, they choked every single time. They couldn't pass the second round. And then you obviously can make the argument about Toronto. They haven't won a round since like 2006, if I'm not mistaken. But with Colorado, there's
2004,
contracts that are sorry,
2004.
2004. My bad. In Colorado, you have expiring contracts. You have a potential coaching change that might happen at the end of the year if this team fails to win the Stanley Cup. And then you also have Kemper
Well,
as
I mean,
well.
fails the
Kemper is a
Stanley
free
Cup,
agent as
or
well. You
just
might have to go
fails.
get a new goalie as well. So
Do you think they'll do the coaching staff change or any staff change if they fail to win the Stanley Cup, or if they failed, like, if they get like
Put it this way:
eliminated in the second round?
if they don't reach the Stanley Cup final, I think there's a coaching change. I think there's a
Really?
staff change. Yes,
I agree with that. And
because I'm gonna be honest with you, man, and it's like really that simple. Like you've got Cale Makar, who's arguably the best defenseman in the league. You've got Devin Taves, who's having a career year. You've got Sam Girard, who, yes, he's injured right now, but he's still a really good defenseman. You went to go pick up Josh Manson. You've got goaltending that's decent, like decently good in terms of where they are. They're above league average. And then you've got arguably the best offensive core in the league. Like there's no team in the Western Conference that is better than the Colorado Avalanche. You can argue Calgary, maybe, but even then, I still think Colorado's better. So there's no team in the Western Conference better than Colorado. And in terms of the National Hockey League, I don't think there's a better team than them. You can give me Florida, you can give me Toronto, you can give me Carolina. I still think Colorado's the best team on paper, and even just in general, the way you watch this team play, I think they're the best team in the league. And I know that sometimes the best team in the league doesn't always win, but like at some point, something's got to give for this Colorado team. And if it isn't going to be Jared Bednar, there's going to be another coach that's going to come in and do the job for them because they've got the talent, they've got the players to do it. So it's not there's really no excuse for Colorado not to win a cup. There isn't. There's just zero.
What top four player on the? I'm gonna say top four because I think Nazem Kadri is not coming back. Like
Okay.
If they don't win, do you see them parting ways with Landeskog?
Yes.
Or MacKinnon. Well, MacKinnon, no.
My pick is Samuel Girard. That's going to be traded.
Landeskog.
I don't count him as a top four though.
Landeskog just got re-signed. He just got re-signed this offseason. I don't think, and they really worked hard to re-sign him. I don't think they get rid of him. Burakovsky, I think he's going to walk. Kadri's going to walk. So that opens up a lot of cap space. And Samuel Girard's been connected to trade rumors for a very long time, for the last 2 to 3 seasons. So if my bet would be Samuel Girard.
I'm gonna disagree with that. Well, I think Sam Girard does get traded, regardless. I think whether they win the cup or not, I think he gets traded. But that's besides the point. I think if they fail to win a Stanley Cup, and I know they just re-signed them, but you have to look at it from this. It's kind of like the Leafs, okay? You've got Matthew, you got Marnie, you got Tavares, you got Nylander. You've had this core of MacKinnon, Rantanen, Landeskog for years. Now you brought in Cale Makar, and he's one of the best players in the league as well.
You also throw in Devin Taves.
As well. So you've got five guys that are elite, like elite, right? In my opinion, the guy that's got to go is the oldest guy on the team and the guy that I think is the least skilled out of all of them, which is Gabriel Landeskog. And it's no disrespect to Gabriel Landeskog. I think he's one of the best. He's a really good player in the NHL. But you have to look at it from Colorado's perspective.
I think
yes, they signed him. Yes, they gave him whatever he wanted. But if they don't get over the hump, like at some point, if you have to trade somebody, you're not trading MacKinnon, you're not trading Rantanen, you're not trading Makar, and you're not trading Devin Taves. So who's the next guy out? Landeskog.
Okay.
It's just it is how it is.
He's gonna be hard to move though with that contract. And
not really. I think anybody will be willing to get a guy that's captain material and has played with talented stars like that.
He's movable. He's movable.
But yeah. Anyways,
$7 million until he's 35.
I think it's possible.
Well, I mean, Seattle wanted him, so just go to send.
It's true. Seattle. It's true. They tried signing him, and I could see maybe like a team like Ottawa trying to throw money at him. Anyways, guys, to conclude our segment today, cup or bust for the Colorado Avalanche? For me, I have to say, I think it's cup.
Well, yeah, it's hand. I mean, listen, when we're doing our bracket challenge, will I put them as Stanley Cup winners? No, because I already have I have a favorite team to win, but like with the team, like let's say the playoffs were today, and like the team with the best odds, I would say Colorado is probably one of the best teams.
And you, Luca?
You know what?
You don't say a bust, man.
I'm gonna say bust, and I'm gonna say bust for one reason and one reason only. I personally think that they're gonna choke it. And the only reason why I think they're going to choke it, and I know I said that they're the best team in the NHL, I'm aware, but I think they're going to lose to Calgary. I think Calgary's going to win the cup. But that's a video for another
Anyways,
day.
guys, thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tune in for more content. We'll see you in the next one.